Even George Orwell, Aldous Huxley, and many others were well aware of human psychology, and how easily the state and church could manipulate the people. Under the right conditions, every place can become a land of the silent, and home of the submissive. In Huxley's Brave New World, it was all about community, identity, and stability. Humans evolved a variety of cognitive mechanisms for socialization and conditioning. We are superior at communication and language, and relatively poor at logic. We use popular voices, and myth, to determine what is perceived as self-evident. This is why talk shows and media trends are popular. It also explains ridiculous trends, such as why women in one country want their labia reduced, while, in others, they want them elongated. Cognitive distortion and bias are the norm. We possess many cognitive elements that are hijacked by social conditioning. For example, the Stockholm Syndrome utilizes an ego defense mechanism. When a person believes and accepts the same values as the oppressor, they cease to feel threatened. This is first experienced as fear and guilt in the child, who is dependent upon the parents and perceives the reciprocal altruism they receive from the parent as love. The child may for a lifetime feel compelled to reciprocate this love. Narcissism is another cognitive tool that is widely exploited. We innately desire to perceive that we are special, the center of the universe, and simply too important to ever die. Hence, we obfuscate our biological and sexual origins, and accept myths that offer immortality, regardless of how delusional they are. It's been said that religious people are atheists to every religion, except the one they believe in. Politicians speak of security and protection, while the hidden agenda is to pass legislation that serves special interests that have remunerated them in backroom dealings. Since Edward Snowden blew the whistle and exposed governmental surveillance activities, has anything changed? The advertising industry, in its many subversive ways, allows marketing of trends and mass consumerism with a hysteria towards social conformity. It also keeps the economy rolling along. The few people that are resistant to social conditioning are denounced as peculiar, strange, or subversive. In some cases, they are incarcerated, even if the so-called crime was based on a flawed political or religious premise. George Orwell, in his book, 1984, described the masses of Oceania as proles, useful idiots to work and raise children. The so-called telescreens, that monitored everyone, were considered a horrid nightmare to the readers back in 1949. Today, we nonchalantly refer to them as surveillance cameras. Even Orwell could hardly envision how intrusive things have become, and embraced. Millions of dollars are paid out by car owners every year on red light camera traffic citations that are issued by private companies that may receive lucrative political contracts, and the defendant must self-incriminate by paying the fine or be automatically ally convicted, unless they are willing to incriminate a spouse or other party in violation of the spousal immunity or Fifth Amendment. Yet most perceive the cameras as a good idea because misleading data produced by the surveillance camera companies say it is. Falsified data is used to generate mass hysteria to facilitate war for oil and other schemes that serve the elite. We are told to focus on pride and nationalism, rather than follow the money to the root of true evil. We elect politicians who uphold that the government should continue to arrest and incarcerate citizens in the absence of any charges. Private communication is routinely monitored to compile data on everyone to facilitate better control. To top it off, most people gladly forsake their privacy by voluntarily joining social media sites that admittedly monitor and collect everything about them and will turn this information over to marketing and governmental agencies. Why would anyone do this? Because everyone else is doing it in herd mentality. The masses have learned that the more selfies they can post, the more important they will feel or the higher their sexual market value may be. Not long ago, the very notion of selfies would be considered so egocentric as to be repulsive. European courts have held that American-based social media companies are in violation of EU privacy law. But, does anyone care? The U.S. Constitution's Fourth Amendment, which guarantees the rights of privacy, is all but a joke. The notion that the U.S. president should uphold and defend the Constitution has long disappeared. We are an animal with a frail and unstable psychology that is being decoded and utilized more efficiently than ever. Accordingly, the few who are even capable of forming opinions outside of the bubble of delusion of conditioning they received, realize there is little hope of logic prevailing. Galileo was ordered to turn himself into the Holy Church for trial and conviction in 1633 AD, for espousing that the earth revolves around the sun, rather than upholding scripture that states that the earth is the center of everything, which is exactly how we would like it to be. The fact is, natural selection is blind to egalitarian intent or design, which is how we ended up this way. Our biological and psychological framework is riddled with numerous flaws that could fill a medical library. There's not much we can do about it, although genetic engineering may offer some patches. The question is, which genetic fixes would our government say is okay? In Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, published in 1932, the majority of the masses were made as epsilon semi-morons. Of course, the book was not really about the future, but a look at society as it has always been. Note that this video is part of a series of videos with the general theme of dishonesty and delusion in many small aspects of our lives. Our video banner is comically titled, Liagra, for the treatment of ED, excessive dishonesty. All information and commentary is presented as is and is not guaranteed as to accuracy or fitness for any purpose.